Ken, I hate the risk that social media is putting on our kids today.
I couldn't agree more. There's so many things that we're seeing online over and over and over again in all these different directions. And the theme always comes back to people doing dumb things trying to get views.
Yeah, dumb and dangerous.
Yeah.
The latest one that I showed you was, and they have said that they don't know if it's true or not, but I did see the video. This woman that was pregnant that already had a daughter or multiple daughters. She was pregnant. She had a very obvious bump where the gender reveal came out that she was having a girl and she didn't want a girl. So the next scene is her having a bag of pills that she called abortion pills and then dancing to some song about killing the woman inside of her and taking these pills. Now, it hasn't been verified that they were actually abortion pills, but how dangerous is that for another teen or someone else watching this going, hey, this woman took these abortion pills and she's fine. And it's just for what? For sensationalism?
There's a lot of layers to it. Yeah, it's for sensationalism. It's life is becoming more performative than it is actually interpersonal and relational. And that's what that was about. And it's not without risk and danger to her, obviously to the unborn baby. But, her career, her future, her children, there's just a lot of things that are rolled into that. And it's all for the likes. It's all for the views. It's all for the potential at being internet famous.
And if there's teens watching us right now, it does matter. As employers, these things matter.
Yeah.
I mean, what you do is permanently, when we were younger, we were worried about getting arrested and having that on our record.
Right.
There's way smaller violations in this world that are on permanent internet, on the internet, that these kids aren't understanding. I mean, you kids are not understanding the consequences. And you might not care now when you're 16, 17, 18, 19. It's no big deal. And I don't mean to be preaching, but there's a lot of kids that don't have parental guidance. And if there's anything that I want to use our platform for is not to just talk bad to these kids and preach at them. I want to help them. That's why we have our nonprofit. That's why we give back the way that we do. I want to actually be a voice of reason for them, especially those that don't have parents that are invested in their lives.
Well, and you also remind me constantly that's what we do as a law firm as well. As an injury lawyer, we handle things after something bad has happened. That's the way we make a living. But our focus and what you keep coming back to again and again and again that I love is we need to try and prevent this stuff from happening. We need to try and make the world safer and a better place. And so this is the same type of thing. People get in trouble with what they do online. Somebody gets hurt with what happens online. Somebody's reputation gets damaged. How can we prevent that from even starting? And it's by using this platform to talk about the dangers of it and make sure that somebody is the voice of reason here.
Yeah, absolutely. And people are looking for that viral moment. There's videos that I saw from Daytona Beach, and I guess they wanted to have this viral chaos happen on the beach where the year before there was gunshots. I guess there was a couple people shot. So this year they crinkled some plastic bottles to make everyone go running. It may seem funny. You may think, oh, who cares? It's no big deal. Okay, so someone gets trampled on and gets injured and hurt. That's not funny.
No, and that's the thing is the gathering, the situation is not complete for people until there's content. And that's where we're missing this interpersonal relational context with other people. Life is about the relationships that we have, not the content that we create. And that's what's missing. It feels like there's a certain lack of empathy with people who are getting so buried in their screens and not thinking about the relationships with other people. It's just some impersonal online popularity.
There's a video that I saw recently that touched me. There was a girl that posted this video where she hated pro-lifers. She was goth or whatever. I think we used to use
emo
or whatever.
Or something like that.
And she posted a video of herself that she stole this pro-life magnet from somebody's car and said, hey, I got your magnet. If you want it back, give me the money and then I'm going to donate it to an abortion clinic. And then she comes again and says, hey, that was me in the video. And she no longer is dressing goth. Now, I'm not dissing goth. You can still love the Lord and dress however you want.
But the point you're making, she looked completely
different.
different.
She looked completely different. And she came on there to say, hey, that was me and I found the Lord. And, but saying that video's out there forever.
Sure.
That video's out there forever. And that's the thing these kids need to understand is, first of all, who I was at age 16 is completely different than who I am at 52.
Right.
And you might not care today because your life looks a certain way or you feel like you have no hope and this is your only hope is to get viral on social media. Don't sell yourself short. You know, you can make something out of yourself. And you don't have to become desperate to have these main character moments so that you can be a sensation on the internet for a year, 2 years.
If even that long. Sometimes it's a week.
And that's what it was like when we were kids. You know, you were going to be the next Metallica or you were going to be the next band. But guess what? It's like 0.01% you're going to become that.
Right.
And unfortunately, because of sensationalism, kids are getting hurt. People are getting hurt. There was a video the other day that I also watched where this owner of a dog training company took a gun for his YouTube video and pointed it at an employee and accidentally shot him in the forehead and killed him.
Yeah, he was trying to demonstrate why having a trained dog is better than a gun, and it went horribly wrong. And there again, it goes right back to the focus on making content and trying to get attention for yourselves. And, you know, you talked a little bit about how you don't want kids to make mistakes and think about who you're going to be. That's a tough thing for kids to do. We know that. We've been kids and you know, it's hard to think about your future, but when something's posted online, it's there forever. Even if it gets deleted, it can be recovered. And they're not thinking about who's really going to look at it and how it's going to affect them negatively. They're only hoping for the popularity and the positivity from it, that they're going to be internet famous. But, you know, courts look at online stuff. Online actions, what's posted. Employers look at how people act online because you can show up dressed right and sounding right for an interview. I guarantee you that potential employer, once you leave the conference room, is pulling you up online to see what you do. And it's not just about, well, that's separate from work. That doesn't reflect the kind of work that I do. As employers, we want people who reflect our brand. We want them to reflect who we are and become a part of the culture of what we have in our firm. And that's most employers across the board are going to be cognizant of that.
And there's a lot, I feel, of this idealization of these influencers to the fact of, I'm going to become famous so that I don't have to work, so that I can just be in the spotlight. And you can maybe become that, but get a job, get a real job.
Yeah.
You know, get that job first and do that at night.
Right.
Do that on the weekends.
Right.
Once you become famous, and do it in a smart, non-dangerous way.
Right.
Do it in a way where you actually have substance that you're selling, not chaos. You know, here it reminds me of, let's just record everything like Irina on that train.
The girl who got stabbed.
The girl that got stabbed in the neck. No one is helping her, and they're just recording. Because life When did the phone and social media become inhuman? We're becoming less and less human. And, that's what I want to talk to people about too, is just because we own a law firm and we seem like we're above everybody, we have a family too. We have kids. We live this along with you guys. And that's why we want to come on here and share who we are, because we care about you and your family. And we want to teach everybody else, hey, maybe we can help you out in a way where you don't know how to help your kids, or you don't know legal ramifications on how to help your kids be protected about getting in trouble with things like this. So, Ken, would you say it's not getting them a phone or teaching them how to use their phone appropriately? What would you say legally? I know what we've done with our kids, but what would you say simple ways that parents can help their kids be connected with the outside world, because everybody has a phone and they're going to feel like they want a phone? How do they do that?
I mean, this is going to sound, again, preachy from us, but there have to be some limitations on the time that's spent scrolling online. That's got to happen, because that the lady who was stabbed and killed on the train is exactly what we're talking about, where people are pulling out the phone. A situation is not complete until they have content for online, regardless of what's happening on the other side of the camera. And that's where I think we are losing empathy as a society. We've got a whole generation coming up that you have to wonder and worry about the empathy that they're going to have as they begin to mature, as they begin to start having kids of their own and raising their own kids and getting into the workforce. Because when you are separated from what you're seeing, there's no emotional attachment. It's just that quick dopamine hit that we always talk about. And so I think that there has to be some smarter or more mature way to step in and say, okay, that's probably enough on the phones. Let's do something else. And that's hard to do. That's hard to do for parents.
Well, what about getting them involved with community service, or getting them involved with a nonprofit, or getting them involved in missions trips and things like that? I mean, when they can see human suffering, how about teaching them about these bad videos?
Yeah, well, there's a great book. I can't remember the name of it, but it was talking about, 5 different vices that people have and how to overcome them. And one of them is selfishness. And the number one way to get over selfishness is to do something for somebody else, get involved. And so with our online lives, it's all about, it's promoting narcissism in what we post. It's promoting, our dopamine high for what we see and feel.
But not always.
No,
I mean,
but
some of them are good.
Yeah, that's true. But the point I'm trying to make is that there is a lot of selfishness that is going on that we're all just funneling down to and getting focused on. And the best way to overcome that is to do something for somebody else. Really and truly, from the heart, do something for somebody else. Not show them a funny video, but do something, give back, like you're talking about with centers that need help, or food drives, or clothing drives, that type of thing that helps somebody to the core.
And a lot of kids don't want to do that.
No.
They're more interested on being on their phones. Why? Because they're addicted to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we took our kids not too long ago to the homeless event and helped give out flowers for them and set up
champions for the homeless.
Yeah, help them give out, or set up to give out clothes for homeless people. And Jack was willing. Skylar was a little bit kicking and screaming, but after she's been there, I think she really has an appreciation for doing that, and it was very, very good for her soul.
Humbling.
Yeah.
No, it truly is. It truly is important. And like I keep always repeating, it goes back to the family unit. And it's important that before you record something, post something, think about having something go viral. Think about the consequences. I know that sounds like a Debbie Downer, but think about the consequences. Is this something you're going to want to have in your life if something goes wrong 10 years from now?
You asked me the question a couple of minutes ago. Let me ask you the question. What should parents be doing? What ideas do you have for parents that you can tell them other than just tell them to get off their phones? I mean, there's got to be more.
I get involved. I show our kids these videos. I explain to them how dangerous they are, how ridiculous they are. You know, I repeat myself a lot where they're now like, I get it. Why would you think I'd ever do that? But
right.
I think it's important. I think it's important that parents understand that it's not the 80s. You know, kids will be kids. It's a different day and age. And that also goes in good ways where we now have video cameras to record accidents.
Right.
We have video cameras to show who's doing what, which actually is a positive. But the pendulum is swinging, and it's swinging way far this way, where I think there's more negative things happening legally with AI and things like that.
Sure.
Than positive with these addiction to attention type videos.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. We mention it again and again, is maybe having the conversation and educating the kids about what that dopamine does in these situations, how it is addictive, how it plays into really every addiction that's out there.
Oh, our kids know that. Jack, our son who's 20, took Instagram and TikTok off of his phone.
Yeah.
He goes, Mom, I don't want it on there. I get on there and I get sucked in. He knows. I've talked to them both about it.
Yeah.
Skyla, her phone died when we were getting pedicures the other day, and the nail tech said, I have a cord for you. And she said, no, that's okay. I need to enjoy nature for a while. I repeat that over and over, the dopamine addiction and that you need to take a break.
Yeah.
And so much so that our son took social media off of his phone.
It's a big issue. It's a big consideration, and it'd be good for parents to, first and foremost, pay attention.
Exactly.
How long are they on the phone? What are they doing on the phone? Is it just feeding this dopamine addiction? And as they age, if they're not getting the high from the phone, what are they going to turn it to? Because once you have that dopamine addiction, you have it almost for life. And it's not a question of what is their vice. It's what's the next vice that they're going to have.
Well, they have apps. I know Jack, he's very competitive, and he has some app that shows how long he did not pick up his phone.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm almost in such and such place. Like, he gets super excited.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, oh, I can't pick up my phone for this much longer or whatever. And it's not like he's on his computer. He's doing school and playing his guitar and stuff like that. So we need to focus on things that build the brain versus tear them down.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, that's great. I love all of that. And I think that's important information for families and parents to look at. And, we can talk a little bit about what people can do, because these situations are coming up regularly in public now, because there's a whole culture of, crowds gathering based on, a TikTok thing. And that can get very dangerous, like the Daytona Beach thing, very quickly. Or, public pranks or that type of thing, where people can get hurt without the recorder or the people that are staging it really thinking about the consequences.
Or even the protests and the people getting shot at these protests.
Yeah.
I would honestly say, don't go to main gatherings. You know somebody's going to be there. If they know that there's going to be thousands of people. I mean, I'm not saying don't protest about things, but if you know there's going to be thousands of people at something that is going to be gathered by kids, especially.
Sure.
These protests, avoid them, if you ask me, because there's going to be something that someone is going to want to make it go viral.
I would say before you go, make sure that you understand what you need to be aware of. You need to be aware of when things are escalating, because it will happen and it will happen fast. And you need to realize when an escalation is starting, and probably at that point, if you haven't already, remove yourself from it.
Well,
get out of the way.
Look at January 6th. We know people that were at January 6th.
Yeah.
You know, they were there and they're caught on camera. And then they have to say, yeah, I was there. But little do people know, from what I was told, is they were in front of Trump. And then as they exited, all the roads were blocked. They couldn't even go to the bathroom. They were shoved and pushed and told, you have to go to the Capitol building.
Right.
They our one friend, I have to go to the bathroom. Nope. You have to go to the Capitol building. You have to go there. And the way that people are set up nowadays, guess what? Now you're on camera and now you're going into the situation where you go to jail.
You don't ever know these days whether you are being part of something that is staged or whether it's just organically happening. And even if it's organically happening, everybody is recording what's going on. And once you are caught on it on camera doing something, again, that lives on forever. So yeah, that's an extreme example of a very public, very big, very organized situation where it took people down. And that can happen even on a smaller scale. And so people have to, before they go to places like this, they have to understand what the risks are. They have to understand that they need to be able to have a way to get out early before things escalate. And they need to resist the urge themselves to be a part of it and try and get content out of it for themselves.
Absolutely. And the way the law is looking with these videos and AI, and it's a slippery slope. You'd said it's very difficult for them to try and arrest somebody or get somebody liable for these things.
Yeah, well, there's all sorts of things. There's not just physical injury. I mean, that's one thing, but people aren't thinking about physical injury that may happen when they're staging pranks and gags online. And some of it, it's very risky what they're doing. People can get actually hurt. When and if that happens, the law is not going to care that it was an online stunt. It was something for views. They didn't mean the outcome. The law still looks at, well, should you have been reasonable about it? And did you realize that that could have been an outcome, and you can be held liable? The other thing is you got to think about with minors, anybody under the age of 18. So we're talking, 14, 15, 16, 17, when they're doing those things, parents can be held liable for negligent supervision. So they need to take interest in what their kids are doing and staging some of these things.
Well, I know that, not to interrupt you, I remember there was a video where they were toilet papering the principal's house. And they were doing these, I think also, maybe I'm mixing two videos together. There were like the water gun wars where they squirt each other. And I know that one kid, oh no, that's two different videos. One kid hit the principal and killed him. Yeah, I think he hit the principal and killed him at his own house because he came outside knowing that they were going to do it. And then there's another one with the squirt gun wars that this kid got killed because he didn't realize he was like on the top of his car or something like that. When do pranks become dangerous?
There needs to be some forethought to it. There needs to be something that gets the kid's attention before something bad happens, because you're still held responsible just the way you would be anyway if all it was for an online prank. You're still held responsible for it.
Well, hopefully they get the point, because I think we've said it about 15,000 ways.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, real quick, if you're new here, my name is Ken Gerber, and I run Gerber Injury Law here in Phoenix, Arizona. If you've been hurt in an accident, I want you to hear me clearly. The insurance company is not on your side. They have lawyers working for them from day one. You deserve the same. At my firm, we take on car accidents, slip and falls, and all types of personal injury cases across Arizona. And here's what I tell every single client. You pay nothing unless we win. No upfront costs, no risk, just me and my team fighting hard to get you what you're actually owed. If you've been injured, don't wait and don't settle cheap. Give us a call. The consultation is completely free, and I'll personally make sure we take care of you. All right, back to the show. So one of the very first AI child exploitation criminal cases is going on right here in Arizona. Have you heard about it?
No, well, through you, I heard something about it.
Yeah, so I guess there is a criminal prosecution. They've charged somebody criminally with exploitation of minors, child exploitation. And so it's online child exploitation. And so the issue is this. It's all apparently or supposedly AI generated, and it's not actual children that are performing these acts. And so the question really is, does that amount to child exploitation? Does that qualify under the law, or is that something completely different since it's victimless?
That's a really good question.
It's wild. And this is one of those areas where AI is advancing and expanding, and the use of it and the law is not always right there to corral it. So this is a really, really...
Well, I guess, are they selling it? Like I don't know, beyond morals, right? We don't want it, with kids, and there's certain age limits and stuff. But like, is there a difference between creating, like, for instance, I know that in the 80s, they've had scenes that were perverse with children.
Right.
But they don't do that anymore because obviously there's a real actor there. But like, is it the making of it if they're just distributing it for free, or is it the selling of it? Like, where's the legal, who's getting arrested? Would you be arrested for creating this, or would you be arrested for selling it?
Well, so don't forget, with child exploitation like this, online child exploitation, it's enough of a crime just to have it on your computer.
But
just
if it's not a real victim.
Well, that's the issue. But we've gone so far to...
And don't get me wrong. I think it's disgusting. I don't agree with it at all. Yeah. I'm just looking at it in a legal sense of there
because
being
you
no
have
victim.
to do that. You have to split hairs legally to make sure that we're prosecuting something that is criminal versus criminalizing something that's not criminal.
So let's say they decide to just make this and keep it in their house. You're not allowed to make it in the first place.
You're not allowed to make it in and keep it in the first place. If it's found on your devices, if you've accessed it, you can be charged with child exploitation.
So how far does that go? Can you draw a stick figure of an adult and a kid doing something to you?
See,
how far does that go?
No, that's a great
legally
question, because what's being balanced here, since it's not real victims, is essentially it's going to be a First Amendment right, an expression of artistic quality, which I think is a horrible thing to even think about with this subject, but I think that probably will come into play here. So I think from the defense perspective of this, that's probably what they're going to argue. They will argue that this is just freedom of expression. It falls under the First Amendment, that they're allowed to do it. It's a victimless crime, and therefore it doesn't meet the definitions of online sexual exploitation of children. But I think the law is really going to have to be changed, and it's going to have to be broadened here, because even if we don't have specific victims here, what we're doing, obviously, is we are making it okay for people to be involved in that culture and that idea, and that will only lead to the potential for more real life instances of it.
Also, if somebody goes, well, they've made AI legal because it's victimless, I'm going to go buy myself some AI porn. That become a whole market. If they don't make it illegal, that's going to become a market where it says, hey, you want to see some AI porn? And are we going to see advertisements for that? I mean, if it's AI and they say it's legal, all of a sudden you're going to have all of these molesters and perverts buying child porn.
Think about this, though. Is it really just an AI generated
No, you won't.
person? No, because here's the thing.
I know.
AI is not magic. It's not artistic. It's not really creating things out of nothing. It's this large aggregation of information that's on the internet. And I'm not an expert when it comes to how those things work, but they're likely taking pictures and images online already and then just creating the setting and the scene with what's already out there. So what you've got is essentially misappropriation of somebody's likeness. So
right, but
that's
what if
civil
they just,
aspect
what if
of
they,
it.
I mean, this may sound weird, but what if they just start making little people and they're like, that's not a child. That's just somebody that's petite. And then they have them shaved and whatever. And they're like, I mean, there's ways around everything.
There are. And that's why I say we're seeing this again and again and again in so many different subjects, that AI is advancing and how people are utilizing AI so much faster than what the laws can do. Because, we as humans are making the laws, and it takes a congressional meeting and an act of Congress to meet, debate, and pass laws and that get signed into law for us to have the laws. And by the time that started and finished, AI's moved 150 different paces.
So what's the goal? So someone made these videos and they found them on someone's computer. Do you know what happened with this case?
I don't know the specifics of it. I just know that somebody has been charged with it, and that the claim is that it's victimless. It's all AI generated. And so that's this legal debate of, is that online
but aren't
child
children
exploitation
in general the victims? Like the group as a whole? Because honestly, if you were to take somebody were to make a video and it would be towards a group of people, couldn't they be seen as attacking a group of people? Like,
That's so hard to do, particularly when you're talking about criminal laws. Criminal laws have to be very, very specific. Otherwise, it's unconstitutional. You can't have what's called a vague law, where you make something illegal, but it's not clear what's illegal about it from the wording of the law. The courts will strike that down because we have to be very aware that when we cross a line, our actions are criminal. So you can't have vague laws. You probably can't have a law that protects just a class where something potentially could harm that class and make that criminal. I think we've gotten as close as we can with child exploitation online and those images and how they can arrest people just for having that on their computers, because they're actual victims. But now it raises it to a whole other inquiry, a whole other issue if it's not actual victims. Because now you have this victimless crime, but the nature of having that has to be illegal. It's interesting. Have you heard this? Do you know what the Supreme Court actually used as the definition for pornography?
what?
This is actual. The definition for pornography is, I'll know it when I see it.
What?
Literally, that's the definition. So it's got to be the same kind of thing. It's got to be, look, you can't have this. Well, what amounts to that? Well, we'll know it when we see it. We'll know it, and we'll have to.
That is loose. That is
It
loose.
is, but it's one of those
so
things.
that they don't have to arrest their own people.
I mean, I don't know. This was a lot of years ago. It very well could have been. I don't know.
This is loose.
It's been a long time since I read that
When
case.
I feel it, I know it, and I see it. Well, there's if they're naked.
No, but see, that's the issue. It's this balancing of what's artistic, what crosses a line into pornography.
I don't need to see a 5-year-old naked in a room
I totally
with an
agree with
adult
that. Obviously,
that's
that's
naked.
the case, and I think that will end up being the similar type of thing. Is we'll know it when we see it, regardless of whether there's a victim or not.
I don't need to see it.
If
you
it's
should just not do it. That sounds like they should be doing it. And
Somebody's got to look at it. I mean, the police that investigate, the detectives, they're going to have to bring that evidence. Somebody will see it. And I think that's the whole point, is when it's that obvious that the intent is to exploit minors, either actual minors or supposed minors, it's got to be criminalized. It has to be.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, I think people have to ask themselves, a crowd can give you attention, but can it give you an identity? And where do we find our identities truly? I mean,
I mean, that's a very profound question, and you're exactly right. I hesitate to say this, but I've thought about, those movies that are the post-apocalyptic movies where something happened and the world crashes and, it's just one guy wandering through.
Are you the one guy?
Yeah, no, whatever.
Let us know.
But there's no technology. There's no of our, none of our modern things that we have, conveniences. I wonder what would actually happen once this generation grows up with all of this separateness, that they're living their lives with just what's online. What would happen to them? How would they react without, if all of the modern conveniences and social media were just suddenly removed? Would they know how to interact with each other? Would they know how to have interpersonal communication?
They would, because the human brain is very adaptive. And I'd like to give an example when we went to Jamaica on the mission trip. And when you go there, they tell you can only wear plain, basic clothes. You don't wear any jewelry, nothing like that. You're very simple. It's you're not wearing makeup or anything like that. The kids wore the same basic, clothing of just a plain t-shirt, plain pants, because we're also doing some theater and stuff like that. So you have to match. But what I truly loved, and I know that our kids loved it too, Skyla even, who complains about stuff. Sorry, Skyla. Sorry. What I truly loved was we were just there as human beings. They didn't know us for our law firm. They didn't know anything about us, where we lived, what we owned, what we didn't own. We literally were just there with no identifying. I mean, obviously our skin color, our hair color, whatever
Right.
that is,
Right.
but knowing we're from, the US, but it really was relaxing for me. I loved not being anyone. I loved just being a friend in Christ and holding these kids and holding their hands and singing with them. And it just reminded me of what truly matters. What truly matters, and it's that human connection. It's understanding, even if you're in Jamaica in the middle of Kingston, you're still worried about dinner. You're still worried about your loved ones. There's just obviously much different things that we worry about, which as Americans, we're very spoiled.
Sure.
But saying that when you take away all of those things, humans are still humans, and we can connect at that human level. We truly can. And I think it's really good for these kids to be able to experience something like that. I think it's great for our kids to go, hey, at this school in Jamaica, they don't have toilet paper.
Which was actually a real thing.
Yeah.
That
I went into the bathroom and I had to tinkle, and I went and I looked for toilet paper, and I'm like, where's the toilet paper? And the girls start giggling, and they said, we don't use toilet paper. Like, we use our hand. And I'm like, oh, okay. And one of the girls was super sweet. And she goes digging in her book bag. And it was amazing how toilet paper was almost like gold. She had this like 3 squares, and she was so kind. And she said, let me give you some of my toilet paper. And I'm like, no, it's okay. I don't mind. I could just, anyways, but not use my hand, just drip dry, but just shake it off. I'm not a guy. Anyways, oh my gosh, here we go. But anyways, I digress. I was very honored that she would be so sweet to take her toilet paper, which was very valuable to them, and offer it to me. But the humanness there, she saw where I was coming from. I saw where she was coming from. And I think we are very adaptable. And I think that it almost would be a good thing for kids to experience that. But anyways, that's where I'm coming with faith. I think God has given us an innate sense of our soul and who we are if we are stripped of those things.
I agree. I love that. And, I'll take it one step further. The example that you gave of this little girl offering up her toilet paper. I mean, let's challenge people. Go out, don't record it, don't post it. Do something for somebody like that just something small just gives them a leg up. Just make something easier for them, even for a brief moment. Just do it and see how you feel afterwards.
Yeah.
It is very, very fulfilling.
Oh, it is. Definitely.
And you just can't underestimate how important it might have been for that other person.
Nope. I always say it's like a ripple in the pond.
Yeah. Just
your kindness extends to other people, and you have no idea the impact that you're having on them.
Yeah.
At
A
that
smile,
moment.
a nice word, hold the door for them, something like that.
And let God give you credit.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
The world.
Don't seek credit for it.
Yeah.
And this is the hard part too. Don't focus on how good it made you feel.
Correct.
Focus on how you helped somebody else, what it did for them.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, we do have more defensive driving scholarships available. Go to our website, gerberinjurylaw.com, and we do have an icon. Please fill it out. Let us know why you or your family member deserve our scholarship. It includes a full defensive driving class and a value of $2,000.
Sounds great. Thanks for joining us.